everybody, and welcome back. My name is Sir Rikari, and today we're going to talk about some tech. I was spending the last week thinking of something to do for a video. Then just yesterday it struck me. I should talk about my gear and my setup for streaming and recording. I have to say though, if you're looking for something top of the line that will get you the highest quality recordings and the best audio content ever, you're not only watching the wrong video, but you've got quite the disposable income. My setup is actually what I consider to be the middle of the road, so it's not the best, but it's not super cheap either. But if you're looking for really good quality videos and streaming at 1080p, this video may inspire you to get a middle of the road setup as well. Also keep in mind some of this took a lot of time to acquire, so unless you have around roughly $1,500 to spend right off the bat, I would save up just to get each piece as you go. For me, this setup took about 3 years to set up everything that I have on my computer, and well, altogether all of this stuff, it took quite a bit of money. This has been more of a hobby than anything, so I'm not by any means rich, but I do make a decent income, and enough to at least, spend a little bit of extra money on my hobbies. That being said, I'll start this off by going through the core essentials, which may be the most expensive part of the whole thing. The most important things to start with are a good PC, a microphone, a camera, and a decent headset. To give you an idea on what to get, I'll run you through what I have and possibly some cheaper alternatives. Your PC is the most important part of this whole thing. Without a good running PC, you won't be doing much in the way of recording or streaming. Now for what I have. I have an Intel Core i5 4950 3.3 GHz Haswell processor with 4 cores processing power. This is a good middle ground for CPUs and costs only $200. Honestly, processors are important, and this one is quite a beast, but there is better and more powerful CPUs out there. When it comes to deciding on a CPU, it's really up to what you want out of it. Honestly, I have never had any problems with this CPU at all. Next up, I have an NVIDIA GeForce 970 SSC with 4GB of RAM. This graphics card is a beast, and you can get it at your local Best Buy. This one I bought comes out of the box overclocked and has an advanced cooling unit built into it. I've never had any overheating issues with this card, and I've run 3 games on all 3 of my monitors without any problems. When it comes to the graphics card, it's always good to spend loosely on one. A good graphics card will keep up with your games and recording streams. Don't be cheap on either the CPU and the GPU. That being said, these items may be the only things you drop money on. The rest is actually fairly easy to spend on. By the way, if you have a disposable income, if you're able to spend a little bit extra, I definitely recommend getting the 1080 or the 1070. I have 16 gigabytes RAM. I know a lot of people may say that 8 gigabytes RAM is not a problem to use. However, RAM isn't too expensive, so don't be shy to spend that extra $30 or so and get the 16 gigabytes. Not only will it smooth out your running programs, but you'll notice a significant improvement in performance with 16 gigs versus 8 gigs. Next up, I have the Corsair CX850M power supply. This is vital to run your computer without causing power failures. I made the mistake thinking that my old power supply was not the cause of this weird crashing that was happening when I was playing games. And I had a Roseville 850 watt, and I bought that in 2013. Nope, I switched to the Corsair and it's so much better. Now I'll talk about the gear you may need to do your streaming, and I'll start each one the same way I did with the PC stuff by showing you what I have. I have a Dell S2340M LED monitor. This monitor is actually not very cheap, however, it's quite reliable and has really good color and black levels. You can get whatever you want for a monitor, as it doesn't affect your streaming or recording, minus the fact that your gaming will be less awesome, but get something that isn't cheap or cheaply made and you'll be set for gaming. I also have 2 TVs as monitors. I use these TVs as an extra workspace on my computer. It helps to have extra screens to keep track of what's going on outside of your game. You could also do a tablet or laptop, which is what I use to keep track of my stream, especially when you're using things like a bot to keep track of your chat and your viewers and interact with them. I also have a Blue Yeti microphone with blue pop filter, ProLine Studio Boom mic stand, and Auphonics shock mount. Now for the fun stuff. First, you don't need a fancy microphone, which the Blue Yeti is by no means fancy, but it definitely isn't poor quality either. If I was ever to recommend a microphone outside of professional studio quality microphones, the Blue Yeti and the Blue Snowballs mics are some of the best, almost studio quality microphones. You could also use your headset's microphone, though the quality won't be as rich if you can't use things like pop filters or shock mounts. Now when it comes to pop filters, you can get a nice cheap pop filter, as it doesn't take high quality filters to get a good pop reduction. Cheap is good too. I only bought the blue pop filter because I thought it was beautiful and worked so well with the Yeti mic to begin with. I mean, it was made for it. However, pop filters are so important to have to reduce that hard p sound you'll hear without one. This is me talking into a pop filter right now. This is me without a pop filter. You can tell a clear difference. Not only are the pop filters important, but shock mounts are as well. The reason why I recommend a shock mount is because your mic may be on a stand on your desk and you may bump the desk, or it's on a boom mic stand like mine and you bump that. The shock mount would reduce or negate that sound in your mic, which is really helpful for those with kids, pets, or mics within close proximity to bump risks. Finally, the stand, which is vital for any setup. Now, the Blue Yeti and Blue Snowball mics come with their own stands, and those are just enough to get you going. However, if you're like me and you rely on position and desk space, a boom mic not only captures good sound and removes itself from sounds you would get from your desk or workstation, it also alleviates space on your desk or workstation for you. It's really handy to have, but not a highly recommended thing to use. A lot of other YouTubers and streamers typically leave their mics on the stand they come with or use a desk stand, which is more than okay. For me personally, that space is highly needed, which is why I have my boom mic stand. Now for my camera, I have a Logitech C615 webcam. My camera is literally not 100% the greatest thing on the planet, and I fully intend to upgrade to a DSLR to capture better quality video and stills. However, for now, this camera does just what I need it to do and at a decent quality too. This camera does 720p streaming video on Skype, recording is at 1080p. I'm not sure what the streaming quality is for Twitch. I put mine to 720p typically. It just makes it a lot easier because everything else is running at 720p anyway for me. Now when it comes to cameras, I personally consider DSLRs or video cameras to be very vital due to the more professional quality you would get out of them. A webcam does great for videos too, so if you're looking for a lower cost camera, stick with a webcam that outputs 1080p. Don't settle for less. And finally, for my headset, I have a Corsair Void headset. Headsets are essential. It gives you direct sound to your game or music without your mic picking it up and making a mess of your videos. Make sure your headset is comfortable and has a really good sound. 7.1 surround sound is great for gaming too, so look into that. Now I'll talk about some other things to consider and pretty much talk about the things I myself have that makes gaming and my PC experience more enjoyable. I'm currently using the Corsair K70 keyboard. I chose this keyboard simply because I needed a mechanical keyboard. I don't know too much about switches, but from what I understand, the cherry or red switches are best for gaming, and I can agree. I feel like this keyboard is an extension of my arm, and I love its response. My mouse is a Logitech G303 Daedalus Prime mouse. Now, I personally like a smaller mouse. It moves a lot faster for me, and I can be more precise with a smaller, lightweight mouse. This mouse in particular replaced my old 2013 Razer Death Adder. It's small, light, and still has the DPI switch, which is nice. Now I'm just pretty much showing off. For my sound system, I have the Klipsch Pro Media 2.1 THX sound system. It's not a recommendation for streaming or YouTube videos. In fact, you can get away with just having the headphones. I personally love having my sound system for music while I'm working out or cleaning the house or my studio. Now, Klipsch is a really good brand for sound, and the other choices I had were either too pricey but really damn good, or more cost efficient but sounded meh. This system was not only affordable, but it has really good quality sound, and the subwoofer hits hard. It's probably the best sound system I've had, which is, I've only had like 2 sound systems in my life, so I guess that really doesn't count very much. I also have 2 Xbox One controllers with the wireless adapter. Controllers actually make gaming so much more enjoyable when you're playing games like Brawlhalla and Rocket League. Also, you can sit back and enjoy a game with these. Now, if you're looking to buy something a bit cheaper, the Xbox 360 controller for PC may be what you're looking for. And if you're not a fan of that controller, there are plenty of other more affordable options as well. It's really all about personal preference. Now, I also have acoustic foam. You'll probably see that in some of my videos. This stuff can be a huge lifesaver when it comes to recording or streaming. I won't go into too much detail about acoustics, but here are some things you should know about acoustics in recording, especially when you're recording. Acoustics are basically the way your room manipulates sound, such as bouncing off of flat surfaces and causing reverb in your recordings. Acoustic foam combats that in a way that reduces the amount of reverb you get. If your mic is set to pick up sounds from around the room, make sure your room is set up so that sounds coming from you don't bounce back to your mic. The best place to use acoustic foam, if your computer is up against the wall and you're facing the wall, would be to have it right behind the microphone, and that should alleviate some of the reverb making your recording sound better. There is a lot more detail that I could go into with acoustics, but this is just the starters. This is what's going to get your foot in the door as far as getting the proper acoustics for recording and streaming. Finally, using good ambient lighting takes away from your camera and allows your gameplay to show better, especially if you're playing a scary game. Imagine playing a game that's intended to be dark, and you have a lot of light in your face cam. That's really going to detract from the game, and they're mostly going to be focusing or distracted by your face cam. Getting good ambient light on your face cam will actually help tremendously. It also helps to have a good environment. Some people use green screens and some just capture what's behind them. For me, it's my acoustic panels, some posters of games I love, my collectibles, and my mic. The great thing about your environment is it doesn't have to be consistent. You can change it up to whatever you like. With that said, I hope my video gave you an idea on what I'm working with and what you could use to get yourself going on YouTube or Twitch. I'm far from getting going myself, but I do have a general understanding of the right things to get and how to set it up. And thanks for watching, and I hope I've inspired some of you. See you next time. Peace!